Imagine standing in front of a firing squad. The cold air bites your skin. Your hands are bound. Your heart pounds in your chest. And the rifles are aimed at you in a matter of seconds. You die. This was the moment Fyodor Dostoevsky lived, a moment that didn't kill him, but transformed him forever. Fyodor Dostoevsky, one of the greatest literary geniuses in history, wasn't always a household name. Before Crime and Punishment or the brothers Karamazov, Dostoevsky was a man fighting for survival against death, exile, and his inner demons. Today, we're delving deep into the two moments that defined his life. Standing at the edge of execution and enduring the backbreaking labor camps of Siberia, these experiences not only shaped the man, but also his masterpiece novels, giving us timeless insights into suffering, redemption, and the human condition. Stay with me as we uncover the extraordinary story of how a single individual faced unimaginable pain and emerged as a voice for humanity. Let's rewind to the beginning. Fyodor Dostoevsky wasn't born into struggle. He created it for himself. Raised in Moscow by a devoutly religious mother and a stern, alcoholic father, Dostoevsky grew up surrounded by books. His love for literature began early, but so did his awareness of human suffering. When his father was murdered by his own serfs in 1839, young Dostoevsky inherited a profound sense of justice and an equally deep rage against oppression. This would later draw him into revolutionary circles. Fast forward to his 20s, and Dostoevsky was gaining fame as a promising writer. His debut novel, Poor Folk, was an instant success, portraying the struggles of the downtrodden. But success didn't satisfy him. Dostoevsky wanted to change society, not just write about it. Enter the Petrashevsky Circle, a group of intellectuals who dreamed of overthrowing the oppressive Tsarist regime. They discussed banned books, critiqued the government, and dared to imagine a better Russia. But in 1849, this dream shattered. Tsar Nicholas I, paranoid about revolutions sweeping Europe, cracked down on dissidents. Dostoevsky and his fellow members were arrested, labeled as enemies of the state. This wasn't just a slap on the wrist. The Tsar wanted to make an example out of them. Dostoevsky was sentenced to death by firing squad. Now, let's pause for a moment. Imagine knowing the exact day and hour you're going to die. Dostoevsky lived that nightmare. It was a bitterly cold morning on December 22, 1849. Dostoevsky, along with several other prisoners, was led to Semyonov Square in St. Petersburg. The square was packed with onlookers eager to witness the execution. The prisoners were dressed in execution robes, their heads shaved. The soldiers loaded their rifles. Dostoevsky stood in line, third in a group of three. He later described the seconds before the mock execution as the most vivid moments of his life. What if I don't die? How much time have I wasted? What would I give for just one more day to live? These thoughts raced through his mind. He made a silent vow. If he survived, he would dedicate his life to truly living, not just existing. But Dostoevsky didn't know he was about to survive. Just as the rifles were raised, a messenger galloped onto the scene. Carrying a decree from the Tsar, the prisoners' lives were spared. Their sentence had been commuted to hard labor in Siberia. This wasn't mercy, it was psychological torture. The Tsar staged the entire execution to break their spirits. For Dostoevsky, however, this experience didn't break him. It gave him an unshakable clarity. He saw life's fragility and its infinite value. Years later, he would channel these emotions into characters like Prince Mishkin in The Idiot, who also faces death and emerges transformed. If you thought the mock execution was cruel, what came next was even worse. Dostoevsky was sent to Omsk, Siberia, a frozen wasteland that was home to one of Russia's most notorious labor camps. Picture this: wooden barracks infested with lice, unheated even in sub-zero temperatures. Prisoners slept on wooden planks, packed so tightly they could barely move. The stench of filth and disease hung in the air, and the labor grueling. Dostoevsky spent his days hauling heavy loads, digging in frozen ground, and enduring relentless abuse from guards. Food was scarce, a thin soup made of rotting fish and black bread. But perhaps the worst part was the company. Dostoevsky, an intellectual, was thrown in with hardened criminals, murderers, thieves, and deserters. At first, he despised them, but as days turned into years, he began to see their humanity. One prisoner, a man who had killed his wife in a drunken rage, confided in Dostoevsky. He wept, not for himself, but for his children. Now orphaned, this was a turning point. Dostoevsky realized that even the most broken souls long for redemption. This insight became central to his philosophy. Suffering is not the end, it's the beginning of transformation. During his 4 years in Siberia, Dostoevsky had only one book, the Bible. He read it obsessively, finding solace and inspiration in its pages. It was here that he began to understand the redemptive power of faith, a theme that would permeate his later works. In 1854, Dostoevsky was released from the labor camp, but his sentence wasn't over. He was sent to serve in the Russian military, stationed in a remote Siberian town. These years were difficult, but they also marked the beginning of Dostoevsky's return to writing. His first post-prison work, The House of the Dead, was a fictionalized account of his time in Siberia. It shocked readers with its raw depiction of prison life, but also moved them with its compassion for the human spirit. What makes Dostoevsky's story so extraordinary is not just what he endured, but what he created from it. His experiences didn't make him bitter, they made him wiser. The themes of suffering, redemption, and the complexity of human nature are at the heart of his greatest novels. In Crime and Punishment, we see Raskolnikov wrestle with guilt after committing murder, only to find salvation through suffering. In The Brothers Karamazov, Dostoevsky explores the eternal struggle between good and evil, faith and doubt. And in The Idiot, Prince Mishkin embodies the kind of purity and goodness that Dostoevsky aspired to after his near-death experience. But Dostoevsky's greatest gift to us is his empathy. He didn't judge his fellow prisoners in Siberia, he understood them, and through his understanding, he helps us understand ourselves. Fyodor Dostoevsky lived through hell twice. He stared death in the face, survived the brutality of Siberia, and returned to give the world some of its greatest stories. His life is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. He showed us that even in our darkest moments, there is hope that suffering, while painful, can lead to transformation. So, the next time you feel lost or overwhelmed, remember Dostoevsky. Remember his vow to live fully after facing death. And remember that no matter how broken you feel, there is always a path to redemption. Thank you for watching.